The BBC's Sherlock ended 8 years ago, and looking back, some key changes to seasons 3 and 4 could have saved the show. Sherlock Holmes continues to be one of the most popular and beloved literary characters, and adapting the character and his cases to other media is almost always guarded to succeed. Among the most recent and successful adaptations of the great detective is the BBC's Sherlock, which brought the characters to modern-day London. Created by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, Sherlock adapted and mixed some of the stories from the books and adapted them to modern technology, social issues, and more. Sherlock premiered on BBC One in 2010 and had a strong start with its first 2 seasons. However, the show peaked too soon with Season 2's finale. Sherlock's quality decreased dramatically in its final 2 seasons, but if there was a chance to rewrite them, there are some things that should have happened to save the show. Sherlock Season 3 should have opened with how Holmes faked his death. Sherlock never solved its biggest mystery. Sherlock, Benedict Cumberbatch, falling to his death from St. Bart's Hospital in Sherlock Season 2 episode The Reichenbach Fall. Season 2 of Sherlock ended with The Reichenbach Fall, which saw the final confrontation between Sherlock, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Moriarty, Andrew Scott. In it, after Moriarty did everything he could to destroy Sherlock's image, they met on the roof of St. Bartholomew's Hospital. There, Moriarty pushed for Sherlock to kill himself, or he would kill his loved ones. However, Sherlock realized that there was a way out as long as Moriarty was alive, so the latter shot himself in front of Sherlock. This left Sherlock no other choice than to kill himself too, so he jumped off the roof and made sure John, Martin Freeman, was watching. The episode ended with John visiting Sherlock's grave, only for the show to reveal that Holmes was alive. Just like in the books, Sherlock faked his death, and so the big question before Season 3 arrived was how he did it. This unleashed several fan theories, most of them quite impressive, on how Sherlock faked his death. However, Sherlock made its worst decision for its Season 3 premiere episode. Instead of a respectful nod to all those fan theories and a proper and official explanation of how Holmes faked his death, the show made fun of its audience and their theories. To top it off, Sherlock refused to give an official explanation, thus never solving its biggest mystery. Sherlock Season 3 should have started with the real explanation of how Holmes faked his death and then shown his inevitably chaotic reunion with John. If Sherlock truly wanted to add a nod to its loyal audience, the official explanation could have been based on one or more fan theories, instead of making fun of them and still not solving anything. Sherlock Season 3 should have made Mary an ally without a secret past. Sherlock changed Mary Morstan for the worse. The first episode of Sherlock Season 3 was chaotic in the worst way. It not only made fun of the show's fans, avoided explaining how Sherlock faked his death, and saw the messy reunion of Holmes and John, but it also introduced Mary Morstan, Amanda Abbington. During Sherlock's time away, John met Mary, and they got married in Season 3's second episode. Unfortunately, Sherlock changed Mary and gave her a dark, secret past that negatively impacted her marriage and John's relationship with Sherlock. In Season 3's finale, Mary was revealed to be a former secret agent, and her past came after her in Season 4's first episode. By the time Mary died, her marriage was already crumbling, and not even the birth of her daughter could save it. Mary and John's relationship was already weird and felt rushed, and giving her a turbulent past only made it weirder and less believable. Mary should have been an ally and a supportive figure for John and Sherlock, just like she was in the books, and given space for John and Sherlock to reconnect and get back to solving cases together. Sherlock Season 3 should have established a new villain. Without Moriarty, Sherlock was lost. Sherlock Season 3 Charles Augustus Magnuson. Although every episode dealt with a different villain, Moriarty's presence had been teased since Sherlock's first episode. As mentioned above, Moriarty's time in Sherlock ended with his suicide in Season 2's finale, but Sherlock didn't establish a new villain. Post-Moriarty, Sherlock introduced 3 notable villains from the books: Moran, Colonel Sebastian Moran in the books, Charles Augustus Magnuson, and Culverton Smith. All of them, but especially Moran, had the potential to become the next big villain in Sherlock. Unfortunately, the show only used them as one-episode villains. This left the audience with 3 painfully underdeveloped villains who didn't return and ultimately became forgettable. Sherlock Seasons 3 and 4 should have left Moriarty in the past. There was no need to keep teasing Moriarty after his death. Speaking of Sherlock's lack of a proper villain in its final seasons, instead of investing more in Moran, Magnuson, or Culverton, the show opted not to let go of Moriarty. There was no way Moriarty could be alive after shooting himself. Sherlock saw him die, and so did the audience. Moriarty kept appearing in Sherlock Seasons 3 and 4, either in flashbacks, alternative scenarios, like the possible explanations for Holmes' fake death, or in Holmes' Mind Palace, where he haunted the detective about his past trauma. In Season 3's finale, Moriarty was teased to be alive, But this, thankfully, wasn't true. These teases and random appearances ultimately served no purpose, other than bringing a popular character back that everyone knew was dead. Instead of wasting time and space in adding Moriarty to the story at any given chance, the team behind Sherlock should have focused on one villain and developed it to be the second big bad guy of the show. The Abominable Bride could have happened differently. Or not happened at all. Between Sherlock seasons 3 and 4, the show released a special, and longer, episode titled The Abominable Bride. The episode started with Holmes and John in the 19th century, finally giving the audience the Victorian version of these characters. Unfortunately, this wasn't the real setting. The Victorian setting was actually within Sherlock's drug-induced mind palace. However, the episode kept revealing it was all like a multi-layered dream within Sherlock's mind palace, and in the present and the real world, he was on a plane. With all the above changes, there would have been no need for The Abominable Bride to happen, but if the writers insisted on doing it, it could have been done differently. Before The Abominable Bride, fans had expressed their interest in seeing Cumberbatch's Sherlock and Freeman's Watson in an accurate Victorian setting. The special episode, then, could have been exactly that, a classic Sherlock Holmes story in a time-accurate setting and place, and with no ties to the show.